All right, guys, welcome back to the table. And as you see on the table, this is my Steyr L9. Now, this video is going to be about its new sibling. I guess you can say its offspring, which is the MF A2. And it basically is an upgraded version of the L9. Now, from what I've gathered, from what I've been told, they don't have any of the grip modules done yet, but apparently what's going to happen is you're going to be able to switch the trigger system out. Very similar to SIG. Again, this was kind of the first gun to actually do that, so shame on you, SIG, for taking that idea. But the L9 has been a tried and true gun for me. It's got about 3,500 to 4,000 rounds through it, around there, probably about 3,500, more or less. And I have to say, this gun has had no issues with it. Now, I've done some upgrades to it. For one, and I'll open up the slide for you. By the way, all guns are safety checked, so I'm not going to do that on camera. But you can see I have the DPM systems guide rod and recoil spring. Fantastic system. I enjoy shooting with it. I just think it works. And I also have this little brass insert here from Ranger Point Precision. And that just adds a little bit more front muzzle weight, which actually allows the gun to shoot even flatter than it does out of the box. And, you know, for me, this gun has just been amazing. You know, ergonomically, it's fantastic. I think it's probably the best ergonomics of any handgun I've ever held, bar none. The magazines are well constructed. The reliability for me has been 100%. And my M9, which I have about 5,000, if not more rounds than that through that, not one single hitch in that gun either. So both of my Steyrs have been 100% accurate and just fantastic. I mean, there's nothing for me to complain about in regards to either one of those handguns. So obviously in SHOT Show or at SHOT Show, Steyr had come out with this new model called the MF2. So this is the M9A, or this is the L9A1, and the MF is now the upgraded model of this gun. And let me tell you guys, Steyr was awesome. They actually sent me one. Now this is not mine to keep, just so you know. This is just for a review. I have to send it back to them. But I think what caught their attention were probably the 3 billion videos I've made on my Steyrs before. And me basically telling people how great these guns are. Not because I was getting paid, not because I wanted anything from them, but just simply because I believe that these guns are probably the biggest hidden gem of any handgun out there in the striker-fired polymer market. Now, the MF2, which is a little bit different than the L9A1, as you can see, has some definite upgrades to it. Now, some of the questions that are probably going to be asked are, is there a reverse capability on magazines? And I was a little concerned on that because when they sent this out to me, this I think comes with a either a 12 or a 15 round mag. I'd have to check it, but I don't even have that magazine because, as you guys know, in New York State, I can't have high cap mags or normal capacity mags. So I actually had to pray that the old magazines would actually work in the new magazine or in the new mag wells. So I want to show you this first, if I can get in there. So first off, the old magazine actually functions. It does lock the slide back. Now, I haven't shot the gun yet, so I don't even know if it's going to shoot and feed reliably. But once I do, I'll know better, and that's going to be coming up this weekend. The only issue I've had is the mag won't release necessarily without you having to pull on the magazine. Again, it might just be where the cutout is for the mag release. I'm not really sure what's causing that. But again, I have a magazine, and I have several magazines that I can actually use, and they function fine, no problem. So that was one of the major things I was concerned about. So for those of you out there who have the old L9s or the M9s, or the C9 for that matter, because they all have the same grip length, you're going to be happy to know that you can use those magazines as far as I know right now. Now, aside from the magazines fitting, obviously you can see there's a little bit of a new design to this. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to compare both of these grips on these guns so you can see the difference. Now, keep in mind, my Steyr is not a stock grip. I actually had to get it stippled because one of the major complaints that I had, let me see if I can get this in the camera so it looks okay. But one of the major complaints that I had was that the grip is so smooth on the original Steyrs that it just didn't feel right when you were shooting it. It kept slipping, and I didn't really want to use Talon grips. So I had Flayed Custom stipple this, and since then it's been perfect, no issues. It feels like a gun the way the gun should have been from the factory. So I think there were a lot of complaints about that, and I think Steyr actually listened to it. So you can see that this is the stippled grip, and I'll probably throw a picture up here so you can see the stippling on here. Really nice gun, or really nice feel. It feels really good in the hand. And then here is the new Steyr texturing. And again, I'll pop a picture up. And what you're going to see here is that the texturing is very sandpaperish. Again, you have these ridges on the back of the grip here, and that actually gives you a little bit of bite. It's a lot better than the original. The original one had these horizontal lines, which is very similar to what you see in the front here. But one of the things they did here was they made a little bit more of a bite to these, where it's almost like a triangular shape. So when your hand goes to grip it, and I'm going to pull the camera out a little bit here, but when your hand goes to grip it, and again, just from what I'm feeling here, you're just getting a very, very good feel on the handgun. I mean, the contact with your hand, it's not uncomfortable at all. It's not as aggressive as, let's say, the M&P 2.0 series, but I would say that it is actually better than, like, let's say a Glock, or even, I don't want to say the CZ because then the CZ fan club will get mad, but even the P10, I don't think is as comfortable as this, because there's enough aggressiveness on the texturing where you know you're going to get a good grip, but at the same time, it's not overbearing where you're going to be worried if you have to carry it or if it's going to rub off some of your, your chub on your belly there. So that's one of the major improvements on the MF2 compared to the original feel of the handgun. Again, they changed some of the markings on here. So they used to have the old Steyr symbol here, which would be very indicative of a third or a fourth generation Steyr. But other than that, they've changed that a little bit. So there's no more of this cutout here. And instead, they've actually put the grip so that the grip is one solid piece. The markings now are actually on this little panel here, which we're going to get into in a second. And it just makes the gun look very clean, very nice with smooth lines. Another thing that I like is they actually extended the texturing up here, so you can actually feel that texturing as you're shooting the gun. So if you want to put your thumbs in like that, you can, and get a good grip. One of the other things that has changed is if you see the side here, again, very, very smooth, no texturing at all, no, kind of a memory pad for your finger or anything like that. And what's one of the things that always annoyed me when I got this stippling, I should have asked them to stipple this as well. So as you get the contact with the frame, you actually can kind of drive your thumb into that and feel comfortable and confident that's not going to slip. With this, what they did was they didn't actually do the same texturing, which would have been nice if they did. However, they put these little cutouts here. And I know it doesn't look like much, but one of the things that I noticed when I did put my thumb on there is that your thumb actually sits perfectly on where those are. And just that feeling alone, it actually gives you some traction to your thumb. So again, when I shoot it, I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see if I can control that muzzle flip based on these little cutouts here. So that's kind of interesting. Another change that they did from the old L9, M9 series and all the other ones is you can see this is kind of like that little sort of kind of Picatinny railish type of thing. It does fit, but it's very long. It's kind of like half proprietary and half, 1913 Picatinny. Now in this case, they've given you a full Picatinny rail, which is kind of nice. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 slots there. So you can carry lights, lasers, and all that other great stuff if you want to carry that. So again, it does just add a little bit more of a modern look. And if you guys see that, and again, I'll throw a picture up there, but if you compare it, it does look much more modern, I think, in my opinion. Now, does that really mean you have to buy the gun? No, but it definitely is a kind of a cool looking feature. Now, takedown, nothing has changed with that. This is your takedown lever. And again, this is one of the more controversial things with this little safety here. A lot of people were saying they wouldn't get this gun because it had this little safety. Now, this safety is only to be used when you're storing the gun that's not in a safe. Let's say you go to your friend's house and your friend doesn't want you carrying a gun for whatever reason. You can actually take the key that this comes with, and I don't have it in front of me. You basically drop it in there and you turn it, and it actually locks the trigger out so the trigger can't be activated. Again, some people don't like that because they feel that it could, flip to safe and whatever. Honestly, guys, it's never happened, and I don't think it is possible for it to happen, to be honest with you. So again, if you compare the two right here, you're going to notice that there's really no difference between the two takedowns. They're identical. They're exactly the same. So there really is nothing there. Again, you can see the stippling kind of going around and just really giving you that good feel of contact in your hand. So that's pretty cool. Again, you can also see that this is the serial number that is no longer on the frame. It's actually the serialized component, which is the trigger module in here. So this whole piece is removable. I actually did a video on this when I took this in for stippling. But basically, you're just going to remove this, and then everything else kind of just comes out, which is kind of easy. It's so easy to do. It's not even funny. Now, in regards to the takedown lever, or excuse me, I should say the slide stop slide release. Again, not much of a difference. It's the same exact shape, and I think it works. So why would you change it? Again, they surrounded that in a little bit more of a texturing of the texturing on the frame. That's what I'm looking for. And it basically is in the same position. So again, when you go to ride this gun, and you can ride it very high, you'll notice that my finger is just underneath that safety. Again, the slide release. And I've never once had anything go on with that slide. It's never not locked back, no failures to lock back, those types of things where you have those higher ones that tend to ride your thumb, and putting that pressure down, the slide doesn't lock back. Haven't had that problem. The trigger shape is identical to the old ones. Nothing changed there. And we're going to get into that too, because I know there's going to be a question on that. And you can see that the trigger guard is relatively the same. There really, again, isn't much of a difference. They are basically the same shape. However, I will tell you, the trigger guard here has a little bit more of an undercut. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but again, Steyr has a tendency to be one of the most ergonomic handguns. And because they actually took this up even more with this undercut, which, let me see if I can show that to you. You can see this is a little bit flatter as it comes around. It's flattened out here. Whereas with this, as it comes around here, and this is a little bit more squared off, it is not as rounded going up. However, you do have a bigger undercut right here, which is kind of interesting, because when this gun sits in your hand, I didn't think it's possible to get higher up on this gun. Now you can. It's just, guys, I don't know what else to say. This gun is just awesome in so many different ways. The beaver tail. You can see that Steyr has that natural kind of undercut there for your hand. So that's what allows that gun to sit so low, and on top of it being so controllable. What they decided to do here was they actually extended the beaver tail out slightly. So now not only are you getting very low into that gun and very deep, or I should say forward into the gun, but now this beaver tail rides right into your hand. So I'm telling you, this is going to be a shooting gem, in my opinion, because they did so many things right with just this little feature right here alone. Now, one of the more interesting components of this handgun is the modularity of the frame. Now, again, keep in mind the serialized component is the actual trigger module that's inside. But interestingly enough, all of this that you see right here, this is also interchangeable. Now, the front is not. So whatever you get in the front, that's what you get. However, the prior models, you did not have that option. As you can see right here, it's just one solid grip. There's nothing that can be changed. So if you have a hand size issue and it doesn't work, there's nothing you can do about it. However, with the new model, they've changed that, and they've changed it for the better. And to me, this is why this gun is such a winner. First off, the mag well is flared. So you got a little bit more of a flared mag well on the front here and also on the side. So if you do have to actually get that magazine out in emergency, you're going to notice that it's a bit wider than the old one, which is kind of nice. Now, one of the other things in regards to this is you have a removable back strap, which I've already actually removed the pin. Let me see if I can find it. Oh God, I hope I didn't lose it. Sorry, Steyr. There it is. So this is the pin that actually comes out of it, and you just take a punch and you just gently punch it out. It comes right out, right there, that little pin. And it's basically going to fit, and I'll show you where it fits. Fits in this little hole right there, very similar to any other gun that you've ever had to do that, a la Glock. So again, very simple to use. Now, one of the other features is the side panels also are removable. So right now what you're seeing here is the base of the grip, or I should say the grip without any of its components. And what you can do is you have the ability to actually adjust your back straps, small, medium, and large. And it's kind of an interesting combination because I don't really know what works yet. I won't know that till I shoot it. The side panels right here, you either have the flat ones like this, or you have ones that are almost like a palm swell. So you can really see the difference there. There's the palm swell, and then there's the flat one. So it's really your preference. Now, I have not been able to figure out what I like the best. I think right now what I'm looking at is probably going to be the medium with maybe the palm swells. I'm not exactly sure how I want to do that yet, because I've noticed that if I go any smaller than the medium, I'm just not getting enough contact with my support hand, and I don't like that feeling. The large feels a little bit too bulky, and let me see if I can get that out for you. Let's see, there's the, I don't even know which one it is. There, that's the large. So large is kind of interesting. So if you've got very big hands, this will probably work best for you. It just seems to push my hand a little bit too far back, so I want to take advantage of this as much as I can. So for me, I think the medium is probably going to be the winner for me. I felt that the small was just a little bit too narrow in the grip. It just doesn't give you enough of a hump back there. And I'm so used to shooting these guns that I like having that ability to have a little bit of that gun sit right in the palm of my hand that way, which allows me to really get underneath the gun and at the same time take advantage of that beaver tail. So, I mean, you can't complain. Now, once you put your palm swells on or whatever, you can always just drop the pin back in right there. and then just hammer it home. So that's it. And that's pretty cool. Like I said, I think that's huge because now it has that adjustability for whether or not you have small, medium, or large hands. And I think that's such an awesome concept. Not that it's brand new by any means, but it definitely gives you that option. You know, we've only seen that really with the VP9 where you have the side panels, and then I think it's a Stoger, or I don't know, another gun that looks like a VP9 but isn't. So that's a good option, and I think that's totally something that other manufacturers should be looking at, especially if you want to attract smaller hand people, larger hand people, to really be able to get a good grip on that handgun. So good job, Steyr, on that. Fantastic. Now, they've kept the trapezoidal sights. Some people complain, some people love them, some people hate them. I absolutely love them. They're awesome. They're fantastic. Now, if we could just get them in night sights or something else with a high vis front, that would be awesome. Once I own this, which I don't own this one, but once I own it, I will be doing that. Now, takedown wise, one of the things that I also noticed in between the two, and I'm going to take both of them down so you can see that. This is my old L9 on the right, and this is my new, well, not mine, but their MF2. Now, one of the interesting things is that every single thing in this slide is exactly the same, except for one small little change. So on the bottom is my old L9. On the top is the MF2. As you can see, everything's the same. Even the barrels are the same. The feed ramps are the same. Everything's the same, with the exception of this little spring back here. Let me see if I can show it. So you can see on the new one, this spring here is on the right side of the gun, or actually I should say the left side of the gun. And this one is on the right side of the gun. Now, what's the significance of that? I really don't know. I don't have an answer for you. But what I can show you is that this is the MF2. This is the old L9 slide. Locks back with a magazine. Boom. Perfect. No issues. And then this is my MF slide, and this is the old L9 system. Again, it seems to function fine, no problem. Same thing with the mag. You know, once you put the magazine in and you open it up, it works, no problems. So again, I'm not sure why the spring is on the opposite side, what that has to do with, and why they did that. Maybe just a design change. But as it looks right now, it does look like the old slide will function on the new gun. Again, I don't know if that's true because I have not shot it yet. But from everything I'm seeing on the inside of these handguns, I don't see any difference. Again, here's your guide rod and recoil spring. It is a polymer guide rod. Again, you can change that out if you choose to. And then here is the barrel. So again, you got a high polished feed ramp, which you can see that right there. And then basically your nice long thick barrel from Steyr, which by the way is basically the same as my old L9. So that's pretty cool. So, I mean, overall, some people are going to say, and I can tell you right now, they're going to say, oh, there's nothing new about this gun. Why would I buy this if I already have the old L9 and the M9 and the C9? Well, I mean, I can't convince you of that. What I can convince you of, though, is that there are some, in my opinion, needed upgrades that Steyr needed to make with their handgun. And it definitely had something to do with the grip texturing. Absolutely. Now, another question that somebody's going to ask is about the trigger. So I'm going to show this to you, and this is where a lot of people are going to complain. So here's your take up, very, very typical Steyr. If you own one, you know what I'm talking about. And then here's your trigger pull. So it's very nice, very smooth, very short. Here's your reset. There's a reset. So it's another light reset. It's not anything new than from the old gun. Now, some people will say, well, that's ridiculous. Why wouldn't they really fix that or whatever? But honestly, guys, I don't really know what you want fixed. I mean, the trigger on the Steyr is probably one of the best triggers out of the box. I mean, it just doesn't get any smoother or lighter. As a matter of fact, this gun came from the firearm guy from Steyr to me. And I'm going to tell you right now that just looking at this trigger pull, if I can get it on there, this is the initial trigger pull I just got. 4 pounds, 10.9 ounces. And we'll do one more. Maybe not. 4 pounds, 2.7 ounces, for a grand total of 4 pounds, 6.8 ounces. So we're talking a four and change trigger, under 5 pounds. I think about a 4.5 pound trigger is perfect for a gun like this. Again, so many different things about this gun right now that stand out to me. And I have to say, overall, I am very pleased with this gun. Now, again, I'm a huge Steyr fanboy, so there's no lie to that. And again, some of you will sit there and say, but there's no major significant change. I mean, the trigger's basically the same. The ergonomics are fairly similar, although I do think this actually has a better feel to it than the old ones. I can't believe I'm saying that. but it just feels like this one actually fits better in your hand. They've just made some little touches here and there that have made this gun, in my opinion, even better than it was initially. Now, the real question is going to be, when are they going to be out? How much are they going to cost? Are they going to have different colored frames? Are they going to have smaller guns available? And honestly, guys, I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't. As far as I know right now, we're looking at maybe 30 days where this gun will be out to the public. And I'm really hoping so, because I really believe that when this gun comes out and it hits the market, there are going to be a lot of people who have been mocking Steyr for years, including myself, who's been mocked for making so many videos on them. But honestly, guys, overall, they have done enough on this gun to make it worth buying, in my opinion. Again, they're not paying me to say this, but I would be lying to say to you if I didn't tell you that I'm a huge fan of Steyr in the first place. And I just think they knocked this out of the ballpark. I think it's fantastic. No finger grooves, nothing. It's just absolutely perfect in your hand. Front serration's right there. If you're into that kind of stuff, the trigger feels smooth and solid. No issues with it whatsoever. So again, guys, I know this was a lengthy video, but I was super excited and I wanted to do a sort of a detailed comparison between the two. I mean, overall, if you have an L9 and you're looking at the MF2, it's really going to be a matter of up to you. Do you really want to get an upgraded grip? If so, this is going to be your win. You know, it just feels better in the hand. It really just eats up your hand quite a bit. And I think shooting it is going to be such a joy. I can't wait to do it, and I can't wait to share that with you. So tell me what you think, guys. Do you like the new MF2? What does it look like to you? Is it something that it's going to be worth considering for you to buy? I'd love to hear what you all have to say. All I know, super excited right now that I was able to get my hands on this. Shooting video is going to be coming up this weekend or sometime in the near future. And then overall, my final impressions on it. And then unfortunately, this bad boy's got to go back to Steyr. But so honored that they gave me the opportunity to do it, guys. Hope you have a great night. Stay safe. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. And as always, everyone, freedom is never free.